He's editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and a New York Times best-selling author. And on this podcast, he brings deep research, prescient analysis, and world-class guests. He's Alex Marlow, and this is The Alex Marlow Show.
Welcome to The Alex Marlow Show. I am Alex Marlow, editor-in-chief of Breitbart News. So happy to be with you today, and thank you for all the support. I'm looking at the Apple podcast charts. We were having our second best day ever, followed only by yesterday, our best day ever on the Apple charts, which is really nice. It feels good. We're working hard on the show, and a really small operation here. It's me and Misty part-time, and that's it for now. And the show, if it can grow, it's gonna get big. I see no reason not to make this one of the biggest news shows in the world, because of course I have the benefit from the power that is the Breitbart virtual newsroom, which is in the domes of powerful and rich Hollywood actors, as well as MSNBC hosts. Here's Jason Baitman and Nicole Wallace.
The truth tellers, or whatever book all the facts sit in from day to day, there is no attempt to hide that from the Republican voters. It's ubiquitous. It is. I mean, you have to make a real effort to stay insulated from the facts and common sense.
I know.
It's everywhere except on Fox or Breitbart or whatever the hell the spots are.
Do you think if we looked at his internet history or his browsing stats on his phone, who do you think reads the New York? Do you think I read the New York Times more, or do you think he reads Breitbart more? It's obviously that I'm spending way more time reading the New York Times. I have to pay for it. I subscribe to it to make sure I get it, so that some of you don't have to read it if you don't choose to. But I'm pro reading all sides. I've always said this. As long as I've been doing interviews, I've been editor-in-chief of Breitbart News now for 11 years. It'll be 12 in October. And I've always recommended you read all sides, and I think my side's going to win. I think if we get a fair fight, we're going to win, and that's what's been happening in this country. His real problem is not with us. His real problem is his real problem is not that we don't read the mainstream sources. His real problem is that people in his environment, people in his ecosystem are starting to read Breitbart, and they're starting to find us convincing. And I know this because his sister, Justine Bateman, contemporary of his, also an actress. Are they twins? They're about the same age if they're not twins. She's becoming anti-woke, and we've been profiling her favorably at Breitbart News because we're so dominant on social platforms, in particular Facebook and Instagram. I'm sure he's seen a lot of our stuff, and that's what bothers him. It's not that we're ignorant; it's that we're effective. That's the problem. It's always been their problem with us. We are very fair, very accurate, because whenever we're inaccurate, we always get in big trouble. We always get taken to task by the advertisers and by the establishment media and the fact checkers, and they've been trying to put us out of business for so long. Why do we remain so powerful? It is because we care about accuracy the most. And why does the left remain so powerful? Because they are a bubble, and they're backed by these billionaires that are just, never stop funding them. But I do want to tell you about the incredible partners I have at Priority Gold, the original sponsors of The Marlow Show. Help The Marlow Show get off the ground. You go to prioritygold.com/freedom, or you text the word freedom to 24999 to see what they've got to offer. They've got a free gold guide for you. And I will tell you, if you started getting gold when I recommended signing up Priority Gold, you would have increased your whatever you'd put in there by 24% plus. I think gold's up huge this year, over $3,300 an ounce at one point, and it is heading up from there. It probably could hit $3,700 an ounce this year, maybe more. That's what Goldman predicts. It's a perfect hedge against all this economic chaos, and it's just a smart way to diversify what you're doing. And you can do it with some of the best people in the game. Priority Gold, easy to do. prioritygold.com/freedom. Don't sit on the fence. If it's not for you, what can I say? I think you're wrong. But if it is for you, prioritygold.com/freedom, or text freedom to 24999, because you help the show when you do that as well. So it's a big deal. Why do we remain so powerful? It is because we care about accuracy the most. And why does the left remain so powerful? Because they are a bubble, and they're backed by these billionaires that are just, never stop funding them. He cites The Atlantic favorably in this interview. I'm sure he isn't aware that I did a big investigation into Laurene Powell Jobs, the heiress who made all of her money, not from anything she did, because she married Steve Jobs, who passed away, and all this Apple and Pixar money. And she used that to fund The Atlantic, which is one of the biggest fake news publications that's been behind some of the biggest hoaxes over the last decade. And he thinks that that's gospel truth. And what we're reporting at Breitbart, wildly popular, fact checkers can't get us, all that stuff is not true. They fear us so much, and it's such a delight. And thank you, Jason, for the shout out. I bring it up again. I touched on this briefly at the end of yesterday's show because people keep asking me about it. So I thought I would do a little more Baitman content as we head towards this wonderful holiday weekend, 3-day weekend. What do we think of the Friday, Independence Day? That means that we're probably going to get a little bit, you can do a little bit more work, right? Because normally if it's like a Wednesday, it'll vaporize the whole Wednesday of work. So, I mean, the whole week of work. So with the Friday one, you're have to hang in there at least towards, I guess the pre-end will kick in around lunchtime on Thursday. So anyway, we got hot news for you today, but Trump has announced that he's got a very special event to kick off to kick off a year-long celebration ahead of America's 250th anniversary, which is next year, 1776, 2026. Yes, next year. So 250th next year, and that is going to be big, and he's apparently starting it this weekend. So we'll see how that goes. Before we get into the big, beautiful bill content, and then we've got some Mamdani for you today. We've got some Alligator Alcatraz today. We got a lot of hot news. You guys have heard me talk about how the media is broken and how legacy media and big cable are filtering information to hide the truth. And this is driving America's trust in the media down to historic lows. It came up on today's show. We're talking about CBS News censoring Kamala Harris intentionally in order to try to help rig the election against President Trump. These people benefit, these companies benefit from spectrum, which is allocated from the U.S. government. Thanks to the podcasts like Breitbart, new media outlets, the truth can break through and providing voices that otherwise would not be available to you on the airwaves. But one of the reasons why they keep us limited is because spectrum is limited. Trump isn't buying it, neither is Senator Ted Cruz. And in the big, beautiful bill, Republicans have heard your voice and are providing more spectrum. So what does that mean for you? It can reduce your monthly broadband bill, preserve your ability to watch, listen, and stream content that you choose, and not just what's chosen to you by some cable provider. The sale of spectrum will also generate billions to reduce our national debt. So don't let giant cable providers and legacy media continue to filter your information. Tell your senator and member of Congress to work with Senator Cruz and President Donald J. Trump to expand spectrum. This could be very helpful to those alternative media outlets that I know you love them because you're already using them. Endthecableopoly.org is the website to learn more. Endthecableopoly.org. If you want more spectrum available, that's the place to go. Check it out. But the biggest story dominating, vaporizing the battlefield in terms of social media right now, Sean Diddy Combs guilty of only 2 counts of I think there were 5 that he was up for, transportation to engage in prostitution. So he's going to get from 0 to 10 years in all likelihood in prison, 20 years max, but he's not going to get a life sentence. And I think that's going to come down a big league. The reaction in the courtroom was he was smiling. He looked relieved at the verdict. So clearly that their attorney's understanding of this is that this is a big win for him. He was shaking people's hands. He apparently said thank you to members of the jury on the way out. So, but he was found guilty of 2 counts of sex trafficking, and I'm sorry, not guilty. Got to be specific here. I can't get you can sue for this stuff. He found not guilty on 2 counts of sex trafficking and 1 count of racketeering conspiracy. And so 8 men and 4 women were on the jury. They had testimony from 34 witnesses, 7-week-long trial. And I've got a lot of good reporting here from Jerome Hudson at Breitbart News that I'm cribbing off of at the moment. The feds want Diddy to remain incarcerated in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, where he's been since he was arrested on September 16th. Diddy's attorneys are fighting to free him, and he's in a pretty intense prison, I think. He's with Sam Bankman-Fried. I learned that during the Tucker Sam Bankman-Fried interview. So the judge, Aaron Subramanian, asked both sides to submit letters outlining their arguments on where Diddy should go. In the meantime, I'm sure he'll have some appeals, and maybe eventually he'll end up having a somewhat reduced sentence, and he'll be out soon, and maybe the Freakoffs will resume. There are people protesting outside, or I guess celebrating outside of the courthouse with bottles of Astroglide or baby oil, whatever it was that Diddy was doing. And, what's interesting to me is that obviously I find this behavior that was the confirmed and alleged behavior, but even the confirmed behavior, what's going on with these freak-offs is to be so degenerate, so toxic for society. It really does make you feel like we're in this a late stage capitalism that is just could end very poorly for people. I've got more examples of that, what's going on that front in other realms later. But overall, I like when there is justice under the law. And if there was not a case that what he was doing was somehow some sort of criminal conspiracy, then he should not be convicted of that stuff. So if it's not a racketeering thing, and if he wasn't trafficking, I mean, engaging in prostitution, hiring people to come to a party is not great. It's not good. But if it wasn't as bad as the worst case scenarios, then it wasn't as bad. But I'll tell you, my main sense of relief is that I won't have to have any guilt if I'm spinning some of those Diddy hits over the years. I mean, he's got some good ones. It's the Shake Your Tail Feather. That's a good one. Mo Money, Mo Problems on the Notorious B.I.G. That's a good song. So he's got some bangers, and I was going to have to remove those from the playlist because that stuff does interfere with my enjoyment of it interferes with some of the enjoyment of the music, doesn't it? How many of you are playing R. Kelly around your house? Not many, right? And some of those songs are just great songs, and you can't play them anymore. And then how about who else? Who else did we lose? R. Kelly's a pretty good example. Oh, the Kanye. It's like even the latest one, the N-word Hail Hitler song. It's just, I mean, you can't play that for people, even if you like the song. I'm not saying I do, but I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying that you could never play it. I mean, because the message is so abhorrent and they're just bad people. And so then you feel like you can't play it. So the one exception to that is Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is just like, I don't think I'll ever be able to ban Michael Jackson from the house. So what does that say about me? I don't know, but I am relieved that Diddy can go back on the playlist, I guess, temporarily. And I will let you, the audience, decide how much tongue-in-cheek I'm being on that. But it is the hot news of the day, and it will take up a lot of people's attention. But it'll be a big celebration. Freedom for Diddy, freak off going. Yet we've just got word that the Astroglide Corporation seeing their stock soar in celebration of Diddy and his freak-offs. All right, so that's it. I like to do more wholesome family shows, but what are you supposed to do? All right, that's the other big thing going on is I'll give a media one, which is a big deal that's happening before I get into the bill. Paramount agreed to a $16 million settlement in the lawsuit by Trump against CBS. Trump had pointed out that clearly CBS had edited an interview with former presidential candidate, former Vice President Kamala Harris, to make her look less stupid. That's what it was. She looked super stupid. She got asked a question in 60 Minutes. She looked super stupid. And Trump had sued for, I think, the exorbitant amount, and they're settling it, and he's getting at least 16 up front, but the thought is it'll get closer to 30 million over time. There could be a second tranche of money that gets allocated. And I'll tell you, a lot of people have been asking me about this because of the nature of the fact that I'm a media executive and I have a media company. And what do I think about the infringement on First Amendments? Because we're seeing some of my colleagues in Newsmax and Fox and other Lindell TV, like places where people are getting sued and they're not necessarily winning. And this does potentially shut down free thought, free press. But I don't honestly see it that way. And I'm being honest with you. This is my real take on this subject matter, is that what CBS engaged in was clearly election interference. That was their goal with this. They were protecting one candidate to interfere in an election. And that, to me, given the nature of the airwaves, and you hear me do those Spectrum ads, you hear me talk about how Spectrum is allocated to various companies, and some of them get it for free. The network cable gets the network television gets Spectrum allocated to them for free by the U.S. government, and so they get to use this. This allows them to have a monopoly over certain types of content, or an oligopoly over certain types of content. And when you got that stuff, like these providers have, like CBS, then you've got an extra obligation to be as fair as humanly possible when we're talking about elections, our democracy. Our democracy hangs in the balance. And if the government facilitates your business and then you are undermining our democratic system by maliciously editing tapes in favor of one candidate, not the other, that to me is way too far. And there's nothing I've come across in my newsroom that remotely resembles anything like that. So I'm not that afraid of it. And the other thing here that is a really important point about this this case is that if this proceeded to some sort of a trial, whatever it would be, then there'd be discovery. And how much you want to bet that if you opened up all the books, you opened up all of the emails from Paramount and CBS and the editors and the journalists and trying to figure out how to piece this package together for 60 minutes, how much you want to bet that there's going to be an evidence of a broader conspiracy to edit this video to make it look like Kamala Harris was not the dummy we all know her to be. I've been writing this since I wrote Breaking Biden. I just wish people would read more of my books. You know, I got a new one coming out, Breaking the Law. I guarantee you that the stuff that I cover in this book, people will benefit from in future news cycles. It is what I do. This ain't no hobby. What I do here at Breitbart News. There's a reason Breitbart has been successful. Of course, I have an amazing team. I've had amazing mentorship, but I got a knack for seeing some of this stuff, and I wrote about specifically in this case that we've got a environment where the news media will do what they can in order to manipulate elections, interfere in our elections. And that is why they focus so nearly on democracy, because they were the ones who were undermining democracy the whole time. This is a tale as old as time. We've been talking about this. And if you guys read Breaking the News, if you read Breaking Biden, you guys would have been well aware that this is exactly the level that was going to go on. But the point I wanted to make that I wrote about Breaking Biden that no one understood, Kamala is dumb. I had a whole chapter on it, and I ended up cutting the chapter down because I thought Biden was going to make it all the way to the finish line. But I had 12,000 words on Kamala Harris, and my broad conclusion was she was put on that ticket specifically because she was not talented, impressive, or skilled enough to surpass Joe Biden, either politically or in terms of being able to get stuff done. And I wrote this, and you guys would have seen it, and then it would have made, I think, the events of the end of the 2024 campaign make a lot more sense on how it really was a challenge for the Democrats to push someone past Joe Biden, and it was because Joe Biden had intentionally put a dummy on the ticket next to him. And I don't call all Democrats dummy. I don't dummies. I don't think Gavin Newsom's a dummy. I don't think Chuck Schumer's a dummy. I don't think Nancy Pelosi's a dummy. I don't think Barack Obama's a dummy. I don't think Bill Clinton's a dummy. I don't think Hillary Clinton's a dummy. I don't think Hunter Biden's a dummy. But I do think Kamala Harris is a dummy. It's a big deal. And that's why I noted that, because that makes a lot of sense. And now you got CBS, who was trying to rig our election by making Kamala look less like a dummy, but she was a dummy and they couldn't help it. So it's important to note, and that's why I really don't, I got to admit, I don't think she's going to be the nominee again in 2028, even though she continues to lead in the polls. I just don't see how she gets enough positive attention for herself. I think she's going to get passed. But I could be wrong. I could update that down the road. But this was great. And I just wanted to make the point about, for Trump's sake, the point about discovery, because I think it's a big deal. And that if they would have had discovery, they would have found all sorts of dirt on Kamala, et cetera. And that would have been, it would have been entertainment. It would have been entertainment, let's put it that way. And it might have been much worse for them. So they had to settle. Of course, CBS is trying to do the Paramount CBS sale that's going on. This is another issue that is, I think, a part of this. So because Paramount is right now is going through a process where they are the Redstone family, which has had control of CBS News via Paramount for decades. They're trying to split it off, sell it. And so it would be controlled by David Ellison, who's the son of Larry Ellison, who's a tech billionaire, and he is pro-Trump. So this is a ongoing thing that Brendan Carr is going through with the Federal Communications Commission. This deal is going to have to get approval from the Trump administration. And so that definitely is looming here. And Paramount and CBS would like to see this go through, at least those who control it now. And this helps out in that regard as well. So that is an elephant in the room, and it's important to bring that up as a point of fact. All right, on to the big, beautiful bill, the big thing that's going on. And the bill is moving into the Congress now. It is past the Senate. Now, will the Congress try to make any amendments or edits to the bill, which would send it back to the Senate and prolong this process? Or will Congress get back and vote on it? It could happen as early as today. Congress is trying to get back, but there's lots of inclement weather throughout the country. And because of the inclement weather throughout the country, we are seeing all sorts of different chicanery and shenanigans from our members of Congress. You're seeing these videos where Congress is trying to do some stuff to, I don't know, get attention over it. Here's one from Mark Warner, which is just silly stuff, but you got to see this to believe it.
It's 1 o'clock. I'm exhausted. I got some good Route 11 chips from the Valley, Doritos, Nerds, Tylenol to take when I'm like dealing with these stupid policies.
So he's got, this is a senator from, is Mark Warner, Virginia? I'd say, I got to keep this stuff straight. It's the, what is he from? He's from Virginia. I hope I get this right. Yeah, he is Virginia. All right. So he was my senator for a while, I guess. So he's got, it shows him in his office, and he's eating Nerds, the candy, like a child. He's got a orange juice from Concentrate. He's got a bag of chips. I'm guessing it's a Virginia-based company who does the chips. And then he's having a Tylenol to cope with the stupid policies, which is, I don't know. It's you could take Tylenol when you guys are feeling like you don't want to talk about a certain topic. I mean, don't most people have a cocktail or something, or have a smoke, or have a cheeseburger? Like, I don't know, Tylenol doesn't seem like a good use of that. But anyway, let's keep going.
The remnants of my vitamin water. God knows
it's vitamin water.
How much longer this is going to go. Leftover tortillas. It'll be painful for me and for the senators one night. It'll be painful for 16 million Americans who lose their health care for years.
Yeah, it's all blatantly dishonest. I asked for the producer, where Missy's off today, so I made a mistake here, but I thought I was going to get some Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace is going around. You got to go online to get this. We have it at Breitbart.com. But the Congresswoman Nancy Mace, the just thirst trap after thirst trap. That is where you post something sexy online, try to get attention. And I just can't believe this person's in the U.S. Congress. And I don't disagree with her on everything, but it's just she had a party bus because I guess she couldn't get a flight from wherever her district was in South Carolina to D.C. So she got a party bus with her staff, and she makes 1 million stops. And she is in silk or satin pajamas, heart pajamas. And she's just doing everything she can to direct attention to herself, and she just tries to be tries to be an online sexy person as much as she tries to be a congresswoman, which is just completely strange to me. And but I've never seen it before, so I've never seen it. She's the only one doing it, so I guess that gets your attention. Gets people's attention, makes you go viral, gives you a certain level of popularity. But she's making all these stops. She's getting Red Bulls. They're dancing. They're interacting with people while they get gas. She's pumping her own gas, even though she's got a whole staff there. And she's definitely not doing the driving. So it's all just the preening now in Congress in the social media age is unbelievable. I played the Warner clip. He's got like a dozen like this. They're all over. And I'm curious about it. If you have a thought on it, give me an email. aloha@alexmarlowe.com. What's going on with these Congress people? Do you think this works? Because the Democrats are doing so much of it, and I find it all to be gloriously off-putting. To have these old guys with the old tortillas and he's eating Nerds. The guy doesn't eat Nerds. And if he does, stop eating Nerds. Nerds are for children. And what is he, 65 years old, is eating Nerds? Who are you appealing to with that? All right. So let me give you my thoughts on the bill. So this is important because I'm trying to carve out a niche here, conservative movement, as we have at Breitbart News, but I'm trying to do this with the show where I'm not just trying to grandstand and take some sort of extreme line to move the Overton window. I'm trying to tell you exactly how things are, particularly now that we are in power and we have to lead, we have to govern at this point. And you all know my perspective at this point, but we all have reservations if a bill is this size. When you're talking about trillions in spending, we're talking about passing way too many things at once that we wish we could pass individually, like they do in certain states that are functional. It's a place like Tennessee, where you don't see this type of behavior. But when you go through this thing in its entirety, and you're talking about the Iron Dome being funded. You're talking about waste, fraud, and abuse starting to get rolled back from places like SNAP and Medicaid. When you're talking about getting illegal aliens off of Medicaid, when you're talking about getting the border security issues with more ICE enforcement, with more ICE facilities, when you're talking about just complete vast expansions of our own energy sector, we are going to be absolutely thriving when it comes to gas, coal, nuclear, whatever it is, new drilling, new expansions into the Gulf. All of this stuff is really, really amazing. It's amazing stuff. And we did a big event with Doug Burgum and Matt Boyle recently, and another one with Energy Secretary Chris Wright and Boyle. And these guys going through what can be done just to tap our own natural resources to make our economy roar. And a lot of that is in this bill. And we're talking about no taxes on tip, no tax on overtime, expansion of child tax credit, the child savings account. The companies are able to write off more depreciation of some of their infrastructure. Some of this can create an economic boom. Boyle pointed something out to me I thought was really interesting framing on our Breitbart Confidential show that we do, that he was my guest on recently. And he was talking about how if this goes well, if this goes according to plan with this bill, we're going to be shifting the conversation on immigration from illegal immigration, which has been the focal point of my entire adult life, to legal immigration. We can finally talk about who are the immigrants we actually want in this country. What is the exact level of immigrants we want in this country? What would qualify someone to be an appropriate fit for the country? What criteria do we want to put in place? We've never had those conversations because all we can focus on is step one is we got to make sure we're not getting too many border crossers. So all of that stuff is happening. It's with just new leases on land to create oil, to create natural gas, create coal industry, coupled with starting to chip away at some of the waste, fraud, and abuse that's in places like SNAP and Medicaid. And this feels to me like a pretty dang good bill. And you're still getting some people holding out for various reasons. Some I understand, some I don't understand. But a lot of people have this reputation where they go out there and they grandstand, they act like something's not good enough because they like that that's where that positions them in the media, that they like to be the one that said, this was not good enough for me. But the bottom line is I've been saying from day one on this bill is going to be a pass. It is going to be a W. So we may as well treat it like a W. We may as well treat this thing like a win because there's so much good in it. Just if you just take a look at the energy, the Iron Dome, the no tax on tip stuff right there, of course, this is a good bill relative to the stuff we find in Washington. And a lot of the Democrats' hand-wringing, it's just not really rooted in data. These people who are going to lose their health care, the goal is for people who are illegal aliens and for people who are able-bodied yet refusing to work and people who are misrepresenting their personal circumstances. That's the goal, is to get some of those people off of government-funded health care, which in a vacuum, if you discuss it that way, then of course we all agree on that. So that is where we're at on this bill, and it's why I'm overall positive on this thing. And I think that we run the risk of falling for the Democrat and the media's trap. There'll be a lot of CBO score citing that's going to add to the debt. The CBO is a Democrat op. It is 85% Democrats there. It's never been nonpartisan. It is not to be trusted on this stuff. And it could be right. It could be right. But we're not going to know. And we can't hold up Trump's agenda, the stuff that we voted for. This was the centerpiece of what Trump wanted to do at the part. He was talking about this during the transition. He wasn't even sworn in yet. He was talking about this stuff. And it is really, really good. Really good stuff. Oh, standard deduction increasing for seniors. There's a lot of great stuff in this bill. And I just don't understand why we feel intent to treat it like it's not as good as it is. But we do. A lot of us are. And I think that we should get this through, pass it, hopefully today, and start celebrating and raise a glass on July 4th weekend for the president and the big, beautiful bill. And look, God willing, it's the last big, beautiful bill we need, because maybe we can start doing things, start running up the score, get into a place where we can start passing things at a more sensible clip instead of so many things all at once. I've always hated that, but the list of positives in this thing is a mile long. And one thing to keep in mind, that it's lamentable that we won't know exactly everything that's in it, and that is terrible. We've always complained about this stuff. when we pass it, there's no way anyone will have fully digested the bill. And we certainly would have had enough time to reflect on it and to think about it and to think about what's really the best stuff in it. But sometimes when you reflect on things and you think about it, things get better. I had this experience earlier this week when I was talking about or thinking about Trump brokering peace between Rwanda and Congo. And my initial take on why that was a big deal is because it's something that's been going on for 30 years. And I did a deep dive on the Congo. This is a long rabbit hole that I don't want to get down today, but I did a deep dive on the Congo a couple of years ago. I really didn't turn into much content, but I was thinking of going over there and to Kinshasa. But I was looking at this and I was thinking, well, it's very cool that Trump did that. Take a far-flung, war-torn region. No one gives a crap about it. And Trump's like, I'm going to focus on this. We're going to broker a peace. And we're going to get a quick W. We're going to get a W on the board. We're going to win on the board. Trump loves wins. And a lot of good CEOs like wins. They like to put stuff on the board. They like to get stuff done. This is a good thing in your life. And I think you should look at this for the people you surround yourself with. A lot of people are driven by notching new victories. And a lot of the people that I've worked for or worked with who are very successful, they like that approach. Trump clearly likes that approach. Bannon likes that approach. Charlie Kirk likes that approach. Like a lot of the really smart executives that I've worked with, they like to notch victories. Just get a new W. Keep the W's coming. Victory begets victory. That sort of approach. That's kind of what I thought Trump was up to. And then I thought about it for a second, and I thought, well, wait a minute. This is actually bigger than this because there are rare earths there. Okay, that should be obvious, right? But they're rare earths. They mine them in the Congo. But then there's a great refining capabilities in Rwanda. And I made this connection. Of course I should have, but it feels kind of stupid. But it's not about just the Congo and Rwanda. It's about China. Because a lot of this mining that's done was been basically co-opted with the Chinese. America comes in, we're the heroes in the region. And then we start brokering a partnership there. So the mining and the refining is done with America as part of the equation. This works for a million reasons. First of all, China doesn't care about human rights. So there's that, which I care about human rights. I mean, anyone would. You should. China doesn't. So we're talking about these children slaves that are part of this industry. Well, maybe we could start rolling that back a little bit. But the main thing is it's another way of us countering China. And the same way I've talked about one of the unified theories I've got about Trump's administration to this point is that almost all roads lead to China. Almost every move he's making is designed to chip away at China's global dominance and ascension. And this is just the latest example of that. And that's very good stuff. And he just shows you that he's playing a really complex game of chess. And he's playing it very, very well. This is the hottest I've ever seen a president right now. Not to say it's perfect, but this is the hottest I've ever seen a president to this point. And it's cool. It's a perfect time to really consider that when we're heading into long holiday weekend, enjoying our lives. Well, something that's not as good, and I'll have much more for you tomorrow on this because tomorrow is Jobs Day, Jobs Friday, or it'll be Jobs Thursday tomorrow. So first, the Friday of the month, unless it falls on the first, or unless there's a holiday on the Friday, then you get your jobs data. So we'll get that tomorrow. The prognostications are not great. ADP, which is a private payroll company, the biggest private payroll company, puts out their data a day before. And the pretty weak numbers, the fewer jobs. When it was anticipated we would add 100,000 or so, we end up losing jobs. So, and you would think, well, maybe this has to do with immigration. And because if we're really doing a million deportations a month, that's going to hurt the labor market, at least temporarily, but it's a good thing long-term. But some of the sectors that lost the most jobs were places where there's not a lot of legal aliens. So I will have more nuance on that, but put a pin in that. And I like to add sometimes, just as to enhance my credibility, something I'm seeing that's not great. I want to flag that for you when I see it. Okay. But all the winning, seen a lot of new wins, notching new wins. And the Paramount and the Big Beautiful Bill, just the latest. But Big Beautiful Bill, not done yet. A couple of people could still get in the way. But I got a feeling it's happening. And it could be today. All right. Other stuff. Let's see. University of Pennsylvania apologizing. Sort of. Kind of a weak apology. But to trans swimmer, for allowing trans swimmer Leah Thomas to compete against women and win. We know Leah Thomas is a big cheater. Leah Thomas was barely top 500 as a male swimmer, acted like he was a woman, and then started dominating. And the thing that always shocked me about this whole saga was these videos emerged of Thomas clearly sandbagging certain races so he didn't look too dominant, because he was running up the score too much where it was going to draw too much attention. Not to say you could get much more attention than we got, but he sort of sandbagged certain races to make sure that he didn't win them all or win them by such a wide margin that it'd get too much attention. But University of Pennsylvania kind of put out a pretty weak need, but at least some sort of an apology. It's too bad it took 4 years, but it's a trauma for these girls that had to go through this, where you train your whole life, you work your whole life towards a goal, a physical fitness goal, a athletic goal, and then just to have it be completely undermined by a man, a predatory, deranged, sick man, and enablers who are supposed to be adults at a University of Pennsylvania. What is that, 60, 70, 80 grand a year to go there? Utterly disgraceful, embarrassing, and just we can never let people forget that this is the nature of the anti-science left, and they are a absolutely chaotic force in this country. Stanford University of Medicine, Stanford. What is Stanford Medicine? Is that a university or hospital? Whatever it is. It sounds prestigious. It's affiliated with Stanford University. It has to do with medicine. How bad could that be? So they have decided that they're going to stop sex change surgeries for minors. My initial thought is probably what yours is, was why in the F was Stanford doing sex change surgeries on minors? Why was that legal? How could that be legal? What kind of a sane country would allow for this, for these monsters to do experimentation on our children? But they're going to stop. So I'm glad they're stopping. So the worst thing they could do would be to continue. The best thing they could do is to never start, and somewhere in between is to at least stop. So that's where we're at. I'm happy about that, and that is not that is another victory. I will add in my victory. I will add in my victory list the Alligator Alcatraz, which I'm just loving. Our coverage is all over. All over to Breitbart News. It's just so awesome for so many reasons. But we had Trump doing a press gaggle explaining Alligator Alcatraz, and he just got into stand-up comedian mode and just insult comic mode. And I love this, so I want to share this with you. Check this out.
With the Alligator Alcatraz, it's the idea that if some illegal immigrant escapes, they just get eaten by an alligator or a snake or something.
I guess that's the concept. This is not a nice business. I guess that's the concept. If snakes are fast, but alligators are, but we're going to teach them how to run away from an alligator, okay? If they escape prison, how to run away. Don't run in a straight line. Run like this. And you know what? Your chances go up about 1%, okay? Not a good thing.
I mean, how beautiful is that? He is saying that you run serpentine. That's how you avoid the pythons and the alligators. He's just messing with people now. That's how he's feeling good when that happens. And why wouldn't he feel good? Because again, with all the winning, and that's when we know we're going to get our best version of Trump. That's when we start running up the score. He's got a head of steam right now, but he's sitting there and he's getting into comic mode. That's where his brain is going. I got to run serpentine to avoid the alligators. So fun. Love it. Love this stuff from President Trump. Another win. I'm going to add this to the list. A USAID has gone away. I brought this up briefly. But I got this Chuck Schumer clip I wanted to share that is it just makes you just salivate almost. Check this out.
We also know this is just the beginning. If Doge attacks USAID today, then you can be sure they'll move on to another target tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the Postal Service or the IRS or even the Social Security Administration. They could be next. Or maybe our national security agencies. So
you saying we could lose the national security agencies? We could lose the IRS? I mean, Chuck, come on, man. You're speaking my language. Whose erogenous zones are you trying to hit here? Isn't that the conservatives who want to cut everything? I mean, these guys are just giving us so much. We should be having so much fun right now. I'm having fun. I hope you guys are having fun. And I'm having so much fun with Zoron too. I'm really happy about this. And I know a lot of people. I was with my friend Charlie Kirk yesterday on his show, and Charlie's hopping mad about it. And Charlie's got great instincts. I mean, some of the best, but it's I'm not hopping mad. I feel like it's a great experiment. I want to see Zoron. I want to see where this goes with him. And I think that he is, his presence, his announcement as the face of the Democratic Party is going to create a mountain of content that is going to turn people off to the left. I don't buy that he's that persuasive. I don't even buy that he's AOC level talent. And so I could be wrong. I could eat these words, but I got reason to believe that when people hear this guy talk, they're not going to be convinced. They're going to be alarmed and confused. Check out this clip. This is with, what's the guy? Hassan Piker, who's a big left-wing streamer online, popular with a younger crowd. Check this out.
Fiscally, if we're talking about the fiscal cost, it costs New York City more than $500,000 a year to incarcerate someone on Rikers, and to put someone in a year of supportive housing, it's about $50,000 a year, right? There's
Okay, so he's basically where you could tell where this conversation is going to go is that if we just give money, that crime is just an economic issue. Okay, so I'll opine on that in a second. But I want you to know, if you guys are watching this, they're both young, they both look cool. The setup that they got is they got the liquid death activation. So that makes me, I used to consume a little liquid death. I'm going to have to consider that. So I'm guessing we got to talk to our friends at 1792 Exchange and see if Liquid Death is a woke company. But clearly this is a paid advertisement, I'm guessing here. So brand activation here during the mayor interview. They got some donuts. What kind of donuts are these? It's Hassan Piker is a guy who lifts a lot of weights. I'm guessing he doesn't do a lot of donut eating. Hasn't seemed to touch his donuts. So it's an absurd scene they've created, is my point. All that to say, a very staged and inauthentic moment that is being manufactured. Here we go.
That's an incredible amount of money.
I feel like I wouldn't do any crimes if I was in a penthouse.
If you had $500,000, it's a lot of money.
If give me the $500,000, I'm not doing crimes. How about we do that? Give criminals $500,000. Is that a good policy?
I'm going to wait for you to run for mayor to propose that.
Yeah. You do a crime, you're getting $500,000 from me directly.
Okay, so that is there. I saw a little bit of flicker of talent there from Zoron because he didn't totally take the bait. He should have rejected it and said it's a terrible idea, but at least he didn't claim that idea for himself and didn't give too much lip service to it. And Hassan Piker, the other guy, he's clearly somewhat tongue in cheek here. I don't think you can take him exactly literal, but this is where the left thinks, is they think that if you just pay people, they stop committing crime. No, they're just going to have more money so that they will commit different crimes. It's all about morality. I mean, crimes is a moral issue. It's a values issue. It is how you're raised. The example I always cite, the most extreme example, but it's the most important one, is 9/11. The people who committed those crimes were all wealthy, middle class, upper middle class, upper class. Those were the type of people who committed the biggest crime in this century. So it's not about wealth. It's not about poverty. I mean, I'm not saying that if you didn't, pull 100 criminals, that you wouldn't find that there was some income disparity. That it probably is. I'm not saying that there's nothing to it, but I'm saying that paying people to not be criminals, all you're going to do is people are going to commit a crime. They're going to get $500,000, and then they will either stop committing crimes or they will continue to commit crimes just with $500,000 in their pocket. But just know that there's a lot of people who, if they heard that policy, they would commit their first crime to get the first $500,000. So just obviously idiotic. And Zoron doesn't shut it down. He doesn't take full credit for it, but he doesn't shut it down. But it's fun. These guys are so bad. If we can't beat this, we can't beat anyone. So that is where I'm at on this, and why I'm somewhat excited is that if we cannot beat that, we cannot beat anyone. This is the guy that is. And if we can't beat anyone, then I want to go accelerationist, and I want to see these experiments that they're doing with our cities. I want to see them taking towards a conclusion. Let's see where this goes in the long run. All right, let's see. I got some other Zoron for you today that I have grabbed. Here is some more.
Go further toward the Vienna model. We'll have to go beyond the market. We can establish community land trusts to gradually buy up housing on the private market and convert it to community ownership. We can give tenants a right of first refusal to buy out their landlords when buildings go up for sale.
So he's just got straight teeth because clearly braces, very smiley, probably the teeth whitened. A lot of benefits of capitalism. If he's getting his teeth whitened, you can't call yourself a communist if you're getting your teeth whitened. He's got those pearly toilet bowl white look to him. I think I busted him on this. The communist who pays for $700 for Zoom whitening. But the first idea is the government buys up more housing. How are government housing projects going in this country? Do we tend to think of those as the best housing we've got, or do we tend to think of those as, I don't know, the scenes in The Wire, which is put on by left-wing people? Left-wing, that's a kind of I think it's right-coded, The Wire on HBO, but it's definitely left-wing people ran that show, and the housing project did not look good. So we're going to make more housing projects, and that's going to really elevate the communities. And we know this because he's smiling. That's it. That's his trick. He's just smiling. He's a happy communist. He's doing the Francis Collins thing, where I would call Francis Collins from the NIH a friendly fascist. That's what Zoron is doing. He's a Chuckley commie. Chuckley doesn't work, but we'll workshop this, and I'll get it.
And we can fully commit to a new era of social housing, ending subsidies for luxury housing development and using our wealth to build beautiful, high-quality social housing projects that offer good homes and strong communities to everyone. We won't decommodify housing overnight, but we know what we have to do, and we have history to guide.
Who wants to decommodify housing? Didn't we understand that the prospect of the government having a government house is going to be crap? Like, you're not going to get good service, you're not going to get good stuff. There's not going to be competition to build you nice things. There are major housing issues in this country, but one of the ways out is to make more money so you can afford a better house. And so I don't want to take that away from people, and that's essentially what he's trying to do. Decommodify housing. He's just a cuddly communist. That's all he is. I started to play a Trump clip, and I don't know what it is, but it's got to be good if I ask for it. So why don't we play it? Let's see. What did I got here?
Mr. President, your beloved New York City.
Your
beloved New York City may well be led by a communist soon, Zoran Mandami, who in his nomination speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zoran Mandami?
Well, then we'll have to arrest him.
Come on. Sicker than your average.
Someone... I don't remember where I got that clip, but someone put cool shades on Trump and a big sparkly chain, and he looks cool. Yeah, but of course, if you obstruct ICE arresting people, then of course you should be arrested yourself. So that's great. And it's nice that Trump can say that now without fear of reprisals. And this is part of the nature, and this is a good note to round things out on, because part of why I wrote Breaking the Law is that we've got two directions we can go in this country. We can go the conservative route, where we can try to coddle, try to play nice, play patty cakes with the left wing, the establishment media, with the communists in our midst, or we can be tough. And we're at an age where people are really responding to authenticity, to vitality, to strength, and we can lean hard into that. And if you're going to break our laws, we're going to deport you. We're going to arrest you. We're going to put you in a facility. We're not going to do anything against the law. We're not going to go around court orders, because we can beat you legit, and we're going to beat you legit. But we're not going to be afraid of doing something because we might get a nasty lower third chyron on CNN's television, or someone might write something in the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal that's negative about us. We don't care anymore. And we're going to come at you hard with our abilities now that we're in charge of the country. And that is how law and order is designed to work. It's supposed to be tough on the criminals and tough on those who aid and abet the criminals. And it's also supposed to be very good for the citizens. It's supposed to protect the citizens, the tax-paying citizens. Zoran Mandani wants to at least tolerates giving money out to the criminals. And he wants to make it so that your neighborhood is taken over and becomes a government housing project. And if he's going to help ICE, if he's going to help illegal aliens evade immigration and customs enforcement, Trump said, I'm going to arrest you. And that's the exact right approach. So this is the playbook, and I'm happy to see it. It just, look, the momentum is real. Feels real today. Feels very real. All right. That is today's show. We will have a show for you tomorrow. Fresh show for you that is not recorded. We will wait for the bill. We'll get some jobs data. We will talk all about it tomorrow on the Alex Marlow Show. Until then, if you're considering breaking the law, earlier the better. Helps get the momentum behind the book, gets into more bookstores, all that stuff. So if you know you're a buy, hit it now. It helps me out a lot. And thanks to all of you telling 10,000 friends and family members about the show and all the cool, fun stuff we do. Thanks to producer Harry putting the show together today. All of you at the Breitbart News audience as well. And I will talk to you tomorrow.
He He's editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and a New York Times best-selling author. And on this podcast, he brings deep research, prescient analysis, and world-class guests. He's Alex Marlow, and this is The Alex Marlow Show.